Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. If you haven't been here before, I'm Cami. I'm WiCSE's tech lead, and for this series, we're going to be creating an e-commerce website. This is going to be like the first part of our series. We're going to be like building out the front end, kind of just setting everything up. Before we get started, I wanted to know how many of you guys have used like React before? You guys can raise your hands. Okay, awesome. So yeah, let's and then also very quickly, Annie from WiCSE is gonna be here. So she'll be here to help like if you guys have any issues with maybe installing any dependencies during the presentation. So feel free to raise your hand and she'll come and go help you. Okay, so first, before we get straight into coding, I wanted to talk a little bit about the design process very quickly. So yes, you can jump in and just start coding, but it can be very unproductive if you're just going to begin putting in elements and then moving them around constantly. So basically using Figma or some sort of design tool is really helpful for that iterative and conception portion of building your project. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I did for today's website. Okay, so here we can see this is how we want like at least like the front section of the website to look like. Here I have some categories. I have like a search bar, a shopping bag, and a logo. And this is kind of like the size that I want the pictures to be. One thing that's really cool about using Figma here is that these sizes are accurate. So this, for example, is actually 225 pixels. And so this is something that you would actually be able to replicate in your application. And for example, this part here that says MacBook Air, the way that you can do that is if you go to frames and then you can select any type of frame to get started. And so just really helpful overall. The last thing that I wanted to show you guys that, like Figma related is just the plugins. I use something called Iconify to kind of help me find the icons that I used here. And one thing that's really nice is that it gives you the icon code. So I was able to actually go ahead and use this and integrate it into my application. So just some like overall design tips. But that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Very quickly, does everyone have Node.js installed? Okay. I'll give you guys like a minute if you don't have that. And then if you're not sure, you can just check by typing in node -- version or -- v into your terminal. That's how you would check for this. And raise your hand if you need like any help at all. Anyone not have it installed yet? Okay. Is the installation process going well? Okay. You guys like 30 more seconds.
Is it possible to create a React thing without Node in it?
That's interesting. I'm pretty sure. I don't think that you can.
Okay.
I think that would throw like some sort of error.
So it's like, it's reliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you need that package manager because we use that installs npm, and npm is like our package manager that helps us install like everything since React's like a library.
Right.
Yeah.
And I assume Angular and Vue.
Yeah, oh, I didn't crazy. I was asking, what is the icon that?
The Iconify, yeah, I could go back to that really quickly, but basically it's just in Figma. You can see it as like a plugin. And so if we go here, basically what I did was I just did manage plugins, and then I just looked up something icons. Iconify popped up and it showed that it was really popular. So I decided to use that, and it's been really pleasant to work with. Okay, so can you guys give me a thumbs up? Like, do you guys have everything installed? Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's open up VS Code and let's open up a new folder. And I'm just gonna call it e-commerce project or commerce project. Okay, and so today we're going to be using a little bit of a mix. Instead of just using Create React App, that's something that a lot of developers have been wanting to just kind of move away from just on its own. So we're going to be using Vite and React. Vite is essentially a build tool. It kind of just helps React be really fast. And it's also really nice to use with like TypeScript if you wanted to implement TypeScript into your project, and really easy with installing dependencies. So let's go ahead and do that first. So the first thing we're going to put in is we're going to do npm create vite at list.
Is it possible to like make it like a bigger?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So sorry about that. Let me zoom in. Is that better? Do you guys want it more like zoomed in? I know this thing's kind of small. Okay, perfect. And so here it asks for project name. I'm just gonna call it like e-commerce. And then here you can just use the arrow keys, and I'm just gonna go ahead and click on React. And then we're gonna be using JavaScript, so I'm gonna click on JavaScript. And then here we can see that it's generated an e-commerce folder for us that has kind of like that whole Vite and React configuration. And so what we want to do is we want to CD into this folder. And then after we CD, it's telling us to run npm install. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do. And so here it's just finishing up like the Vite, kind of like the dependencies.
Can we go to the first community one?
Oh yeah, of course. Here. So we ran npm create vite at latest. And then after that you CD into e-commerce and then you run npm install. Has everyone run those commands? You guys still doing it? Yeah, and then we're using React. Yeah, it's just the name of like the project. See how I do it?
So I do enter here.
Okay, so you do,
And then, are you in there?
and then so here you just do like you can call it whatever. You're gonna call it
I would go into one of these.
I think like.
Oh yeah, and then you can just hit React and then you're just using JavaScript. And then now you just want to CD or honestly go into your emails or like your you guys have everything ready? Okay.
But go to your documents or wherever you want to store it, create a folder and then open back. And then close it. And then open. And then find that.
So I guess like in the meantime, while we're waiting really quickly, I just wanted to mention a couple of things about what we're using. So I did say that Vite is a build tool. And the reason why we're using this is because React is a library, it's not a framework. And so it kind of leaves a lot of things flexible to us. There's actually something that we're going to run right after this, which is a React router. Since React is a library, it kind of leaves the routing up to us. So we're going to be downloading that package next to kind of handle that routing for us. And so we'll talk about what writing is in just a second. But it is important to know that when you're in industry, React frameworks are more popular. So like if you've heard of Next.js, that's a React framework. That's more likely what you're going to see in industry. But for like beginners to intermediates, some like combination like this is really good to start off with.
Can I see the first flange around the NPM?
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just continue with our dependencies. So now let's go ahead and install our React Router DOM. So this is kind of a long one. So here we're going to do npm install React Router DOM local forage match dash sorter and then sort by. And then we run that. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back up to the command if you guys didn't see that. It's npm install React Router DOM local forage match sorter sort by. Was everyone able to run that command? Yeah. Oh, that's fine. That's expected. And so very quickly, so one thing that I wanted to show you guys is what routing is. You might be wondering why exactly we're downloading a routing package. So I'm going to go to the website that inspired this project, Brandy Melville. I come here all the time. And in order to go from different categories, we actually need some sort of routing system in place. And so here we can see this is a route collection / clothing or, collection / just in. And with the way that React works, it only allows for a single page application. And especially with bigger projects, it can't just be like that, right? So we need to download that like React router or have some sort of framework in place to be able to create kind of a routing situation for us to be able to switch to different pages. And you might ask yourself, if you're familiar with React, why can't we just use like an anchor tag, right? We actually have there's anchor tags here in the JSX. The main reason why is because when we use an anchor tag in React, it will trigger a re-render and then we'll lose track of our states. And so we need this React router because it won't trigger a re-render. It'll just be really nice and fast. And most importantly, it's going to keep our states intact, which is the entire logic of our application. So that's why we're downloading that. And now that we've got that downloaded, let's go ahead and set up the entire routing situation. But very quickly before we do, actually, I'm going to go ahead and just open up what we're working with. So let's just do npm run dev. And then here you can just do command click and it opens up your project. And so this is how it should look like. Is it looking like this for everyone? npm run dev.
Can you paste the other command in?
Yeah, I got it. I think I have the long one up here. Oh, let's see. Okay, I just copied that in the Slack channel. Okay, so everyone sees this page here, right? Yeah, okay, perfect. So now we're gonna go ahead and set up the routing in our application. And so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go to main.jsx. If you've used React before, you might notice that this is a little different. Typically in just a create React app, this would be called index.js. So here, it's just tiny tweaks, but here instead it's just called main, and then our components are going to have JSX as the extension. And so what we're going to do first is we're going to import browser router. So let's do import browser router, and then please let me know if you guys can see this as well. I can always make it bigger for you guys. And then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to stick it in here. And then after every change we make, it's important to do like command save, just because our application won't like display properly if we don't save those changes. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then let's go ahead and change our app.jsx. And so what we're going to do here first is we don't need any of this stuff. So we can really just remove all of this. We can keep the app.css, remove this, and let's go ahead and remove this too. Okay. And so now what we want to do is we kind of want to set up our routing system here. And so it's going to begin to look like this. And so we're going to do import routes, import route from React router DOM. And then we're going to have our routes. And then here we can like create our first route. We can just do route, path, and then element. And so basically what we're saying here is we're creating a path to the main page because there's nothing here. And this route component is expecting an element. This element is going to be a component that is going to be rendered on the page. And so here, let's just go ahead and make a component called home. And then just go ahead and do like that. And right now, home is going to show up as red, mainly because we haven't created it yet. And so what we're going to do is create a folder. And we're going to call this routes. And in here, we can store all the routes for our application. Inside of here, I'm going to create home. And I'm just going to do home.jsx. Okay, and so I'm going to make sure to like save here. And then here you can just do function home. And then return. Here we can just return whatever div. And for sanity checking, we can just have like home page. And then export default. Okay. So if I go here now, I can import home. So I'm just going to do import home. And here we can see that it's now actually showing on our page, but let me know if you guys have everything written. So basically here we can see it's showing up since this is kind of like our home page, which is pretty good. And so now what we want to do is we really want to focus on our nav bar. Very quickly, what's up?
So where did you make like the router folder?
So let me see. So I just made a folder called routes just to store all of the route components that we're creating. Yeah, but what we use here, routes and route, these components come from React router DOM. And so we have to import those. Okay, so is it looking like this for everyone? Can you give me a thumbs up if it is? Yeah, okay, perfect. So now let's go ahead and begin creating our nav bar. Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Here, I'll come around.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you just do transport, default. I mean, it's like people took over your computer. And then here, we're gonna do the on JSX, which I will do return. Oh, sorry, my bad. And then in here we'll have like a div. And then we don't think there's any of this. Okay, and then make sure to save. Yeah, I invited this. So it just allows you to route to different lanes. So you are. Oh, really? Okay.
And so then I created this thing like how to get it, then the whole before.
So here, this is
saying,
like,
another
another
thing
video.
where it's just kind of small is
So we don't.
you don't have to show your channel. I just realized I think they're really in the front.
I'm so sorry. I'm just. You're good, you're good. Where am I missing one? And then the actual. In your actual, yes, I think that's. And then. And then go ahead and go with the. Down. Oh, it was the actual, like, the page. Oh, sorry. Take my phone here. I'm so sorry. No, yeah. I go back to the main page. Like, read, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, what else I can say? No. Oh, wow. How'd you do that?
You ever learn anything about?
I think it's all the sense that. Like, it's not how I love it. Oh, goodness,
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god, how do you know? I'm going to cheat.
Yeah. This one, like, so should I export it? Maybe I didn't export it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, my bad. That's probably tricky. No big deal.
This.
Okay, guys, so let's continue. Are you a little more caught up? Oh, so the code should just look like that. Yeah. Okay, so now we want to focus on the nav bar. And if we remember how like our Figma document looked, we have some collections. And if there's one thing about fashion is that they're always going to release collections at any time. So even though they might have tops and bottoms permanently there, they tend to have maybe like a Valentine's Day collection or a spring break collection. And so for that reason, I would like to make our categories dynamic. So we're going to go ahead and create a collections JavaScript file, and then we're going to pull that in and display that in our nav bar. So I'm going to go ahead and create that right now. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so since it's just a JavaScript file, not a component, I'm not going to have it inside of like any exterior components or anything. I'm just going to go ahead and create this file. And I'm going to call it categories.js. And so here I'm just going to go ahead and do const categories is equal to. And then here I'm just going to create an object. And so I'm going to have name. And then here I'll have like new, perhaps. I'm also going to create a path. And I'm also going to have collection/new. And then I'm going to go ahead and just copy this a little bit. And then just change it. We can have tops. Have like, let's say like spring break collection. I'm going to have this spring break. And then I'm just going to copy like one more time and I'll just do dresses. And then I'm going to make sure to export it. And so I'm just going to do export default categories. And then as always, we have to make sure to save so that it shows up. So I'm going to give you guys a little more time to type that out. Yeah, spring break. And then let me make this bigger. This collection, spring break. Okay, does this look good? Are you guys like finished typing? Yeah? Okay. Do you need me to move somewhere here? Okay, perfect. Okay, so after that, we're going to come back to our app.jsx. And so here we can see that we have our routers. But however, routers change depending on where we are in our program. But something like a nav bar, we want to always stay there, depending whether we're in a shopping cart, whether we're in like a certain collection. So we're going to put that above routes, and we're just going to have that as a solid component. And so we're going to do this, and we'll literally just have it as nav bar. Make sure to save and showing up as red because we haven't done anything. So I'm going to go ahead here and create a new folder, and I'm going to call it components. And then in this new folder, I'm going to create the file navbar.jsx. Okay, and so here we start out as before. We just have function navbar. Do like this. Or we can just start returning a div. And then make sure to have our export default navbar. Oh. Okay, make sure to save. So here is we're going to be creating our dynamic categories. So I'm going to go ahead and import categories from categories. And then yeah, and then this is currently red because we haven't used it yet. Okay. And so the first thing that we want to do with these categories is we kind of want to put them into a list. That's kind of like the industry way of putting them together. So we can go ahead and do that by using an unordered list. And in here, we can just do the following. Anytime we use JavaScript, we're going to use these curly braces. So don't forget to do that. And then we're just going to do categories.map, category. And then here we're going to do. And so for every category that we have in our file, we're going to go ahead and generate an element, which is li. And so we can make the key here equals category.name. And then we can open it up. And so with these category names, we want it to go somewhere. And so instead of kind of creating another route here, what we have to do is use an element called link. And so I'm going to go ahead and call that here. And then we can just do link. This is part of React Router DOM, by the way. And so we can just do, okay, well, this will take us to the category path, which is inside of our file. And then in here, we can just have the category name. Okay, and so then here I'm going to go ahead and import link. Go ahead, import link from React Router DOM. Okay, so that was a lot. If you guys need any help, just raise your hand. I can make it bigger too.
Yes, so this is JavaScript syntax. It's kind of like a lambda expressions. Basically what it's doing is you have a list and you're iterating through every element in that list. And so we're mapping out through that list and we're like putting out a link for every object in that list. Not necessarily. What's doing the real iterating is this down function. And then this is just a real function where we pass in that category element, right? And then here we'll just kind of return that. This key is just so that React will not wind us because when we're iterating through a map, when we're iterating using that, the ones you can if you can just put and so you don't have to though, which is better and then the slash and something like that. Oh, shoot. This, you should do this inside of app.js. Okay, no worries.
Should I be seeing like anything on the page like at this point?
Oh, so your screen is black, so I wonder if maybe the words are black too. So mine pops up as white, so let's go use the I usually but let's. Where did you input it? The app that says delete all of that. Where okay, yeah. But you know, yeah.
Just like by default, it was
And
black.
Oh, I see. And so do it. Can I click on this? Sorry. Yeah. So this is the app. And I'm now going to. So now I have all the stuff here going to. Going to have the. So yeah, this is all the code that. We did this another time. They're opening stuff. Like, this is, and I have some past.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
CD back over. It just maybe it's older, it just makes sense for that. And run the command that we sent in this.
Like before I was able to see like the home, just home written,
Yes.
but
So the other tab is going for actually running it, and then this tab is good for running. the- And then from there, it's just copying it. Since then, but at least you have it like that. Let me see if it's showing. Not, you go to that, it's inside of that tab.
Oh,
Or keep it return.
you did this, no, this,
Everything is like this did. Getting rid of that. Okay, yeah. And if you control save, it'll delete everything. Or like, it'll delete this. For commands. So now. Here. I can use your phone to screenshots when people have. Okay. Yeah, same. And then. Like, I can see screenshots. Oh, yeah, that's what I think. And then, so then here, we're just going to. Here, and then. Yeah. That's everything. Okay.
I think that was.
I'm sorry, I know that's a copy. Is it showing off for you guys? Yeah, there's a folder inside of that. So make sure to save when you're writing the app or something. So make sure to save and then you can save. Yeah, maybe and then inside. Oh, you can just move it into the ones. And then. And then import now is /slash now. Yeah, so it's the back. Perfect, and then control, command S. And then this is your and then you can now, if you, it has a white dot, that means that has an slash, no, like upper nav bar, you see what's over there, that is what you did.
So, can you give me a thumbs up if it's rendering correctly for you guys? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Okay. Okay, very quickly. In like 1 minute, we're going to download another dance.
I'm so like, see how we read it. Do this something.
See how?
I don't know. Mine, yeah, it's like.
We're almost there.
Because you guys are more good.
Inside of this, can I do like that?
I got one, I got
Now
mine.
there's also like organizer. Mine is just similar. Same time, right? It's not.
Minus two, this.
I don't have to know you. Well, I'll do that. I'll do it. We'll do it like this. Just like an overall piece of advice, when it doesn't show anything, it means that there's some sort of error. So something that, maybe is not imported, and so it's not gonna render anything. And the way that you can kind of figure that out is you can do inspect, and you can look at like that browser terminal to give you some sort of like ideas to what's going on.
So should it be like centered or like, is it fine for now?
Totally fine like that. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. We're actually gonna style it in just a second.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's kind of like navigate into the next section. So very obviously our components need some sort of styling. And while we could do like some sort of CSS files, that's not really the industry standard. And so today I wanted to get Tailwind set up for us. Is anyone aware of what Tailwind is? Can you guys like give me a thumbs up if you know what that is? Okay, so Tailwind is kind of like a really popular library that is used with a bunch of frameworks. Essentially, what it does is it comes with a lot of utility classes, and we're actually able to write that in our JSX attributes instead of having to come up with a ton of class names for ourselves and then just kind of having a huge mix of classes in our CSS files. So it's kind of like the industry standard, and it's really, really popular. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of start getting that ready. And so if you guys want to start getting ready with that, you can literally just go to Tailwind. And so we'll do Tailwind CSS. And actually, one thing I wanted you to see is if you click on React, notice how here with Create React App, it says that it doesn't support custom post CSS configurations. That's kind of why I didn't just want to use Create React App, and why I wanted to use a build tool like Vite, or typically why people use frameworks instead. So here you're going to go to Vite, and then here we're going to kind of use this to install Tailwind. So ignore this one because we've already created our project, but we're going to go down here to install Tailwind CSS. And so what we're going to do for that is we're going to go to this terminal here. And so this is already running something, so I'm going to click this plus button here. And here we can see we're in the e-commerce project, but we want to go into this folder before we do anything to install any dependencies. So I'm just going to CD there first again. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and run this first command. And so I'm just going to literally copy and paste. And then I'm going to let that run. And then here is the website. Is everyone able to find the website for Tailwind?
I couldn't get to where like specifically it says Vite.
Okay, let me see.
I couldn't find where it specifically says.
And then you can run this first command, just run this first command first. Are you guys able to find the tailwind like this? Yes. And then don't run this one, but you can go ahead and run this one. Okay, and you can already, were you able to do that too? Wait, is this e-commerce website you selected?
Password is this.
Do you call those? See, like, this is-
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so then, yeah, you see. Then,
I think it's- I think it's-
okay, there was something, I'm not sure what. Now, we're in the spelling section, so. We're not using paper, I don't know, right, me too. Here, and then notice, ignore. And then just learn the description. And then we're gonna run some of this, so we're working on this first, and the way that we're gonna do that actually is. So you're already in your. Great, and then. And then you can just like follow this whole thing, so I'm gonna continue doing that right now. No problem.
Okay, so now I'm gonna run the second command, if you haven't done so already. So we're gonna go over here, copy. Okay, and then here it says configure your template paths. And so we're going to go to this tailwind.config.js, and let's just go ahead and copy this content part. And here we can see tailwind.config.js, and they just want us to replace this content. And so after changing this, remember to hit command save. And then afterward, it says add Tailwind directives to your CSS to your index.css file. And so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go to the index.css. And essentially what they want us to do is add it at like the very top here. And then you're going to save as well. And then you can go ahead and restart your build process, which is what you want to do. So we can go ahead and like kind of throw that one away and do npm run def and restart our process again now that we have like Tailwind up. And then finally, we're going to do one last thing. Since there's a tweak with Tailwind, we kind of need to fix this file. And so what we need to do is we need to go here. We need to go to, I believe it was Vite. We need to go to this vite.config.js file. And then we need to change like this part. And so we just need to do like CSS and then post CSS. And then here we just do like plugins and then, yeah, whatever this is. And then a comma here. And these look correct. And then finally, we want to make sure to import Tailwind. Oh, so I'm going to leave this up here for you guys to see. We're changing our Vite file. So we're changing the vite.config.js file. I'm gonna come around. NPM run that. Just restarted the process because.
And this is the second terminal.
Yeah. And then I think we have to. Oh, and then put it on for anything. Yeah, I don't know why I went back to that. I don't want to go through this, but I think it should be. Yes. And then, I closed up the previous running server and then just instantly run that. Put that into it. And so usually. We're working. The errors that are coming. Like all the errors. And then. And then down. Is everything? There's a call at the end of the time, and then the call. Did you get anything call? Awesome. We also implement that.
You just did that.
Could you go to like the tailwind.config 1 second so I can see that?
Oh yeah, for here, tailwind.config, we didn't change any, oh, well, we had changed, now that I remember, we changed this from the tutorial. Yeah. And so if you missed that, you can just go back to this tailwind page and then you can copy it from here. Oh my God, my computer's about to die. Okay, so is everyone able to see kind of their application? Go ahead, save this. Looks like it's giving me some sort of error now, so let's see what's going on. App component. Very quickly, I'm going to check to see what's going on with my application. I have saved here. Save here. Save here. Go ahead and Okay. So now it's showing up, which is nice. So now we want to actually use Tailwind for our application. So very quickly, there's not that much time left, so I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of how we use it. So one way that we can use it, for example, is with this UL class here. Obviously, we don't want these categories to just be in a straight column, so we're going to use something called Flex. And the way that we would do it in Tailwind, instead of having a CSS file, is we do the following. We have class name equals. And so here we're going to use flex. We're going to use max width small because we don't want it to like overtake the whole nav bar. We'll do flex wrap. And we'll do items center. I think this is being covered. And here we can see that now it looks a little different, right? And that's because of the styling that we're able to do with Tailwind. So honestly, this is the main difference, is just being able to have the style right here in front of you instead of abstracted into a different class with utility classes that come with Tailwind. And if you kind of look over it, it tells you what it is in regular CSS. So flex in Tailwind is really just display flex in a regular CSS file. Or for example, max width just simply looks like this. So these utility classes are kind of convenient to use, and you can just see any description of it if you're a little confused on what they are.
That's the thing.
Oh. So do you have a little bit? So I think you actually need an extension for that. Maybe extensions for it. Yeah. And so I guess let's just go ahead and install this extension for you guys too. Category, yeah. Thank you so much, Amy. Of course. Okay. And so for that cool extension where you can see like what Tailwind is doing, what you can just do is you can go to extensions and you can go to Tailwind. You can just go to Tailwind, like search that up, and then it's gonna show this IntelliSense. And so you're gonna go ahead and install that real quick. It just makes for using Tailwind like really, really nice. Yeah. Yes. So does everyone have that like extension installed now on VS Code? Awesome. Okay. Okay. Is the app looking good for everyone? Are we all caught up? Okay, perfect. So yeah, so it's looking like we don't have much time left. So the last thing that I wanted to do here is that we didn't get to fully hash out the navbar. And so for that reason, it's really important to keep our source code kind of like safe instead of just on VS Code. So I want you guys to go ahead and commit this to a new GitHub repo. And so go to your GitHub account, and then you can click this plus here. You can go on new repository, and you can go on repository name. And then, here I had already created mine, but I can just do like ecom2.
It can be whatever it is you want it to be. You can set it on public or private, and then you can just go ahead and create it. And so it's going to give you these options. And so what you're going to do is you're going to copy this, and it's fine to copy all of it at once. And so you're going to go to your terminal here. And then we can go ahead and we can like make a new terminal. And then let's CD into this folder, e-commerce, whatever you name this. And then we're going to paste those commands. And so, does anyone need help with that part?
So you just created a new. This is. Did you already do it? You just didn't. Oh, we have to do sometimes, yes, that position. Yeah. And then. And then we can copy this. We can do it. And then CD, typically you don't have that. Absolutely. We're gonna run it's not a filter yet, so we haven't added or committed anything, but we're gonna just. That terminal. I think, I don't think it's necessary to, like. Yeah.
I'm seeing the reading.
Oh, yeah, so I think, to not have the reading.
Yeah.
Oh, and then come with this. I'm confident with code. Yeah, and then go ahead and use your WiCSE. And then, okay, and then we're not gonna see anything on that there yet. We haven't pushed anything. So we're gonna do, I guess, for that. You guys want to- I don't, I think we go further, actually, community this. They all we did is like, we're connecting our local people to the actual. So.
Now what we're going to do is we're just going to add all of our changes. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do git add dot. And so here we're just setting all of the files that we changed, we're putting it on that git stage. So do git add dot, and then we're going to do git commit -m, and then let's just say started navbar. And then you're going to enter. And now we can see we've committed all of these. This is ready to get put into GitHub. And so then we're going to do git push. And so now you should be able to actually see it on GitHub. And so if I were to refresh, we would see all of the files that I had created, the Tailwind files and everything. So you guys need help with that? Let me put the commands back up. There's like git push and git temp.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it. But yeah, there's like, I think there's like 5 more workshops to finish off this whole project. This one was more so to install everything going.
Thank you. Yeah, I would so see it.
Awesome. And we'll like continue working on this.
So,
Also, we able to something. Excellent. Is everything working for you? Just the website. Awesome. Yeah. How's your website look? Still too, okay. Looks like it's not starting right now, but I'm ready to figure out what to do. She looks okay. Let's see. What do you think of that success? Go to your. So, yeah, we want to go to back it up something. No problem.
maybe.
Probably takes time.
Yeah, you're supposed to be on time. Or maybe, yeah, it's.
This is the last thing, yeah. You can have like one, but it's like.
Yeah.
It's probably like some small. Because they changed like the rules too. It's just like the second.
Yeah. And before it was like in a column, now it's just like line, so in that way.
I'm sure it's like some small.
Yeah.
It's very nice though. What was your name?
Aisha,
Aisha, I mean,
and
me too. What is that? Your drink.
Oh, it's like peanut butter coffee.
Where's I never heard of that.
Yeah, I think it's like a local place. It's like really close to my house. It's actually like a big park and that's
Oh,
like
you
yeah,
Oh, very cool, yeah.
it's like the only brand they have in the ocean.
I was gonna say, it seems very like cutesy, I don't know, like St. Augustine vibe. I like it.
Yeah, I usually get it, cause like my bus stop is like over there, so whenever I'm waiting, I'm like, really tempted.
That's funny, I live near the concept, you guys are talking there. So I'm always going.
This place is also like baby just fat.
Oh, okay.
I just like walk up and like they got used to it. And then we go on waiting for them.
So true.
I think they're the only place where I have like peanut butter coffee, like I've not seen that like in other places.
But those important, but I mean, like a butter, nothing peanut butter. I'm getting so distracted. It sounds like I'm going. I love these colors. I feel like peanut butter.
Yeah, they're exactly like.
Not so.
Wow.
First of all, I don't really understand anything.
I need to get it. Where do you have that skin top to? So basically, it's what we did what you can set up a comment, like, so you can please, I want to invite you about the information.
It's like, I don't understand. Well,
Yeah.
and-
It is the one.
Okay, so it's able to search.
Is it like right outside your house, please?
No, I've tried everything.
Okay, so, oh, have you used React?
Well, I've seen people with done
So
it,
they
so
have like
like,
siblings, so they have to like.
cause I work in hacking and stuff, so like, I
Are
work
they in
in
college or-
mostly like,
My brother is in college.
I don't work with, HTML or anything like that.
So I have an intro to React, like recording, like I recorded my workshop, I know, really quickly, I think show you. Oh, that's something. Yeah, it's. Are you?
You're so old, yeah.
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 So he's 2005. So. So old.
This is the first one.
I'm even
I
older.
use-
My brother's 78.
And Rob's like, I'm too. Yeah.
No, literally, I'm like, with those grades. Yeah, well, that's good. That's like more. So I'm like, from what I'm seeing, right.
And so I go,
I feel like they just like, so why not just go, they think this kind of like, I don't know, increase their standing. I feel like.
That's
they just-
sweet.
I don't know.
but yeah, so, if you have any sort of questions, I can, no problem.
Thank you for coming.
Careful. You shouldn't be making like that until.
Aisha. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I want to say bite, but it's,
Yeah, fine.
Okay, weird, takes a lot.
yeah. So, React is a tool library that we use for probably your
Is that
voice.
the one that?
They look very nice, like, home. I don't know how to make it.
It returns JS back to what it's called, and so it's a mix of HTML
I've
and,
never seen your name
and that's what JS.
on like, on
That's why the,
Slack.
like, extension is documents.
So React is kind of like the easy version of
Yeah, I'll
like
see
making like
what's going on
student
in the
code.
Slack, but like, unfortunately, I want.
Yeah,
to say
it's
so long.
That
was me, like,
is
Like I would go to like,
yeah, VM is called the first
and then be like, I'm done.
basically do it on it.
I went to like one video and then.
If you don't know anything about HTML, CSS, how to explore a web page,
I will not,
as an application.
like I took them my calendar. I'm gonna do the day off,
So we made up, elements. So how like maybe people list on the page, will be like list and then list elements, so it'll be
I like
like
convinced
right?
her.
So what React does, it generates
Talk
first
about afterwards.
So whenever you have any changes in your UI, it keeps track of that, and then
I'm so
eventually it like bundles up all of them like different together, and then it's.
Yeah, I just like helped out, but I really like React.
And the reason why it was like better for performance is because writing really on every change is very strong, the web application is perfect.
Oh, that's good.
And so.
So I'm like constantly pushing through it.
It's just
So I'm like,
document object. It's like, it's a trigger level for stuff. If you go on, yeah, if you go on the slides.
Like,
oh, yeah. I'm like excited. I don't think I'll like this, but I think I'll just like, yeah. This is the one.
I have not money.
No, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, okay, go on,
I think like, you know, Tom.
go to.
Yes. She was mentioning like I was in your team when we did the days and
Oh, on those slides.
then
That's where I've seen your. Okay, yeah. You go ahead.
yeah, and she was saying that like
Which slides?
we're supposed to do like
Mostly like software.
that'd be really.
I
She said, I want to look at them.
That'd be really cool.
Shravya, she's my roommate sister. So that's how I.
Yeah. That's what's going on behind the scenes. And so basically, it's like, we have to explore and include each component, like, if we go back to like the CS code. Right, yeah. Tom is so sweet.
I like never got the chance to
Really
actually
talk
talk
to her, but like, she's not. So here, when we see her,
He's
create,
like,
it's create a virtual boundary. And so what it's doing is,